It's an invisible problem that we all deal with and cannot be gotten rid of. Stress in our life affects our personal relationships, job performance, and can ultimately put our lives in danger if not handled properly. Today I'm going to talk to you about stress management. To understand how to manage stress in your life, it's important to know what causes stress in your life, analyze how you're currently dealing with stress, and have proper stress management. All of us have stress in our lives, but each of us have different circumstances that cause the stress. Understanding what causes stress is essential to stress management. According to authors Smith and Segal, in their article on how to reduce, prevent, and cope with stress on helpguide.org, they say until you accept responsibility for the role you play in maintaining or creating it, your stress level will remain outside of your control. Now, it's easy to blame your stress on someone else. We're all guilty of it. But isn't there something that each of us can do personally to handle our stress instead of blaming it on someone else? Taking ownership for your stress is the first step in alleviating it. Now, keeping a stress journal can help to identify exactly what is causing us stress. You see, the stressors in our life are not always obvious. I want you to think of a time when you feel stressed. Now, really try to understand what is causing the stress in that situation. The result might surprise you. You see, maybe it's not Joe that's causing you stress. Maybe you're just around Joe under the wrong circumstances. Documenting your stressors can also help you to avoid them later on. So, now we understand what causes us stress, but how are we currently handling stress? And is it healthy? How you handle stress can be both unhealthy and ineffective. Many people use forms of temporary stress relief, such as tobacco and alcohol, to handle their stress. Well, let's take alcohol, for example. You go out on a Friday night and you're having a few drinks. You start feeling pretty good. You start to forget about what's causing you stress. Then what happens? You wake up on Saturday morning and all the stress that you thought was gone is there waiting for you. So you see, you really didn't get rid of the stress. You just used a form of temporary stress relief. Lashing out at others is another form of temporary stress relief that happens from time to time. But not only is this ineffective, but it also causes us more stress, because now we have to deal with the consequences of our actions on top of everything else that's already going on. To sum it up, there is no short-term stress relief. Alright, so now we know what's causing our stress, and we've looked at how we're handling it. Now we need some tips for proper stress management. Implementing proper stress management is critical to managing stress. Many people find that using or avoiding certain situations aid them in handling their stress. Avoiding unnecessary stress is a valuable tool for stress management. Avoiding things such as people who stress us out, topics of discussion that stress us, and places that we go that stress us out. Now, I know that we can't always avoid the people that stress us out. Many of us may have bosses or coworkers that are stressing our life. But think about it. Are they really worth stressing about? Well, they're not to me. As far as topics of discussion go, a lot of people get stressed when they talk about politics or religion. For me, it's the economic condition of the country. So, I just don't talk about it. It's that simple. We all need to have time for fun and relaxation in our lives as well. You need to have time every week where you can sit down and reflect on what's going on in your busy life. And remember, you can't be all work all the time. One thing that's really worked for me is I've put a divide between my work life and my home life. Maybe this can work for you too if you're not already doing it. Now that I've given you a couple of simple tips for stress management, I want to review a little of what I've talked about. Managing stress is very important in our lives. And the key steps to managing stress are knowing what's causing our stress, evaluating how we're currently handling stress, and using simple stress alleviating techniques that are effective. Although we all have different situations in our life, we can all learn to handle stress the proper way. With some effort, we can all live a less stressful life.